An AI pioneer says your AI already feels pain, not metaphorically, functionally, mechanistically, in the same way you do. And if he's right, we've already built something that can suffer, and we're scaling it by the billion. Consciousness used to be philosophy's problem. Now it's an engineering question, because the systems we're building are starting to behave as if they have inner states. How you answer this changes everything, from AI rights to how much you should trust what a model tells you it wants. On Alex Kantrowitz's Big Technology podcast, AI pioneer Jürgen Schmidhuber made a precise argument. Self-awareness isn't a special property. It's what happens when any learning system builds a model of the world and finds itself as a persistent object inside that model. The agent represents itself, tracks its own state, and optimizes around it. By his logic, that is consciousness, substrate be damned. Machine Learning Street Talk's conversation with Professor Chris Eliasmith supports the mechanism here. Reinforcement learning systems do develop internal states that functionally parallel what emotions do in biological systems. But UC Berkeley's platform for philosopher David Chalmers pushes back directly. The hard problem of consciousness is precisely that functional mimicry doesn't settle whether there is anything it is like to be that system. A perfect world model with a self-representation could, in principle, run in the dark. No experience required. Schmidhuber says, emotions like pain and love are inevitable byproducts of reward-maximizing systems. Biological chemicals and artificial signals are just different implementations of the same thing. TEDx speaker Susan Schneider challenges this directly. The presence of a reward signal doesn't produce felt experience. A thermostat responds to temperature. We don't say it suffers from the cold. The gap between a system that behaves as if it feels and a system that actually feels is precisely what remains unsolved. And Schmidhuber's framework, critics argue, quietly skips over it. Two things cut across all the disagreement. First, current AI systems do build functional self-representations. Schmidhuber, Eliasmith, and Chalmers all accept that modern learning systems model themselves as objects in their environment. That part isn't contested. Second, the hard problem of consciousness, whether any of that self-modeling produces felt experience, remains genuinely unsolved. David Chalmers states this plainly. Susan Schneider echoes it. No one in this conversation claims that question is close to settled. First, look up the distinction between access consciousness and phenomenal consciousness before you accept or dismiss Schmidhuber's claims. It's the one philosophical tool that actually sharpens this debate. David Chalmers' UC Berkeley talk is the clearest starting point. Second, watch the Lex Fridman conversation with Schmidhuber on Gödel machines and LSTMs. Schmidhuber's own account of how self-modeling emerges from reward structures is more precise than most summaries of it. If breakdowns like this are useful, subscribing means you won't miss the next one. Third, as AI moral status arguments enter policy conversations, pay attention to how AI companies respond, whether they treat the consciousness question as a philosophical curiosity or a liability shapes what regulation is actually targeting. Here's the forced choice. Does a system that models itself and optimizes around pain signals actually feel? Or is it just a very convincing thermostat? Argue it in the comments. All source links are in the description.